On a warm sunny day in ancient Palestine, the sunlight stretched across golden wheat fields and vast green hills. Jesus, along with his disciples, walked along narrow winding paths that threaded through small villages, their footsteps blending with the singing of birds and the whispering of the olive tree leaves. From many places, people from nearby villages gathered, steadily moving closer to Jesus, filled with anticipation and a deep longing to hear his words. Faces of all ages, from the elderly to young children, shone with hope, seeking comfort and the truth he brought. Jesus stood amidst the large crowd, his warm voice rising above the peaceful surroundings. "Love one another as I have loved you. Forgive those who wrong you and always keep your faith in God the Father." Each word seemed to penetrate every heart, filling the people with the power of faith and boundless love. But as the sun began to set toward the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and red, the murmurs of the crowd grew louder, mingled now with the sounds of hungry stomachs. The disciples' worry and the boys' arrival. The disciples exchanged anxious looks among themselves. "How can we possibly feed all these people?" One disciple sighed. "There is no market or store nearby to buy food," another replied worriedly. Jesus noticed the concern in their eyes, yet he gently said, "Look what you have with you." At that moment, a small boy stepped out from the crowd. In his hands were 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish, all he had. The boy looked up at Jesus with innocent eyes, full of hope and trust. The people around exchanged surprised glances. Some whispered softly, while others watched intently as the boy approached Jesus. Jesus smiled warmly, accepting the bread and fish from the boy's hands. Then he lifted his eyes to heaven and thanked God the Father. The miracle begins. He began breaking the loaves into many small pieces and dividing the fish into portions. The disciples stood nearby, taking the pieces and passing them to the crowd. At first, people ate cautiously, taking small bites. But then a miracle happened. No matter how many people he fed, the bread and fish never ran out. Instead, it seemed to multiply endlessly. The crowd was amazed, their faces filled with joy and gratitude. Laughter and chatter echoed all around. Those who could only take tiny bites before now ate until full. Children played happily, and the elderly smiled with contentment. The crowd's emotions and wonder. The atmosphere became lively, full of laughter and thanks. Many began to quietly think, "Surely this man is the Messiah we have been waiting for." The disciples were moved, witnessing the power and love of Jesus so clearly displayed. They gathered the leftover fragments of bread, filling 12 baskets, a clear sign of abundant miracle. Deep meaning. This story is not just about physical nourishment but contains a profound message about sharing, faith, and love. When a small boy brought his few simple belongings, Jesus used them to teach everyone a lesson about generosity and faith in God's power. The miracle of the loaves and fishes proves that God never abandons his people, always watching over and showering love on those who believe. End of Part 1. The sun set slowly, the golden light bathing the sky. The crowd gradually dispersed, calm and full of hope and renewed faith. Jesus and his disciples prepared to continue their journey, carrying the mission of redeeming humanity.
Continuation of the miracle and the abundant overflow. After everyone had eaten their fill, the disciples began gathering the leftover pieces of bread and fish. They carefully collected every small fragment and placed them into large baskets. To their amazement, they filled 12 baskets, far more than the original amount of bread and fish. The crowd watched this spectacle in astonishment. Murmurs of wonder echoed everywhere. People deeply felt the miracle they had just witnessed. Jesus stood among them, his eyes shining with peace and boundless love. Jesus said to the people, "My dear children, Remember that God the Father always watches over you and pours out his love on everyone. In life's difficulties, never forget that faith and sharing create miracles beyond imagination. Profound meaning and message of love. This miracle was not only about physical nourishment, but carried a deep lesson about faith, love, and generosity. Love begins with the smallest acts, like the boy who brought 5 loaves and 2 fishes. When given with an open heart and firm faith, even the smallest gifts can multiply and spread far beyond. This is the power of love and trusting in God's mighty hand. Jesus emphasized that each person can be a source of transformation by opening their hearts and sharing generously. The boy's faith, a small story. It is told that the boy brought his bread and fish without hesitation or fear. Though his gift was small, he believed Jesus would use it for a great purpose. His faith opened the door for the miracle to happen. His story becomes a shining example for us about unwavering faith and the willingness to share even the simplest things. Reactions of the crowd and disciples. After the miracle, the crowd felt not only physical satisfaction but also a powerful sense of God's presence through Jesus. Many among them became true believers, ready to follow Jesus and live according to his teachings. The disciples' faith was also strengthened deeply, preparing them for the challenges ahead in their mission. Strong message about love and sharing. Jesus said, "Love is not something distant or grand. It begins with the simplest acts. When you know how to share, even small things become priceless and create miracles. Each one of us can be part of a miracle if we open our hearts and hands to one another." Ending with hope and continuation. The story of the miracle of the loaves and fishes is a vivid testimony of God's infinite love and a call for all of us to trust and live in love. As the sun set and the light slowly faded, faith and hope were brightly ignited in every heart. Jesus and his disciples continued on their journey, carrying the mission of salvation and mercy to all. Scene description for video ending. Sunset bathes the sky in golden hues. The crowd peacefully disperses. Children play joyfully, elders smile warmly, and people exchange tender looks. Jesus and his disciples walk together down a winding path, surrounded by soft golden light. Birdsong echoes through the tranquil air, evoking feelings of hope and peace.